Hi. So, in today's video, I'll be telling you about a little bit of history connected with the Republic of Dominicana. And the reason why I do so is because, I told you that a lot of the personalities that are formed, as, people shaped into people with no boundaries and shaped into people who are, lesbians, gays, and pedophiles and transvestites is based on feeding those people with books, stories in the books, stories in films, music, songs, and so on and so on. So um, therefore I focus on the books that depict some key moments in history. And uh, it seems like maybe I don't have all elements of the puzzle yet, and not elements altogether fit as for now. But you know, Madeline Sophia Barrett, the book um, that also speaks about Saint Madeline, that the one who opened a lot of schools of the Sacred Heart by the Society of the Sacred Heart. Is the book that is set during the events of French Revolution. So it's a book set during the very important historical moment, just like in the Wilderness and Desert by Henryk Sienkiewicz, that speaks about the moment of colonization in Africa. And yet it is, depicts the story of a little girl, Nell, and a boy, Stash, right? So today we are looking at the Dominicana, and we're looking at people who come with some certain names around us, and I think they do so on purpose. Okay, so if that's something for you, then stay tuned, and off we go. So during the French Revolution, Ludwig XVI was, placed into prison, and then he was killed with guillotine together with his wife, Marie Antoinette. And after that moment, Spain joined the French Revolution, but it didn't go too well for Spain, and it ended with the Treaty of Basel in 1795. And in that treaty, Spain gave away to France Hispaniola. So that is today's Republic of Dominicana. And Spanish colonists, revolted against French rule in 1809. And Dominicana gained independence from Spain in 1821, but they were still under the influence of Haiti. So the Republic of Dominicana became independent from any other influences in 1844. And since that moment, they have Haiti on the west and the Dominican Republic in the east, in the region of Caribbean. And the official language in Dominican Republic is Spanish, whereas in Haitian there are two languages. So one of them is Haitian Creole and the other one is French. And here's my question: like, what is Haitian Creole? It turns out, Gigi says that it's based on French with influences from African languages. So French mixed with African languages gives us Haitian Creole. And the reason why I was wondering, because when I sat down to the song Moulin Rouge, then I thought that I used to think all my life that it was Create Lady Marmalade, and this is how I sang this song. And it turns out that this is Creole Lady Marmalade. Um, so I believe this is the reference to the very explicit reference to the region of Haiti and to the speakers of Haitian Creole, which is French mixed with African languages. So most probable, this is the reference to people who have some African roots. And in the entire song by Moulin Rouge, hello, hey Joe. So I have written about Joe within, the button factory. Hi, my name is Joe, and I work in a button factory. I wrote about Joe Le Taxi by Vanessa Paradis, who is, a 14 years old girl and who depicts in her video clip a black man as a taxi driver. And I believe, hello, hey Joe is a representation, stands for African people in the song Moulin Rouge, as if, the song was addressed to them. Of course, there are many more references to Africa in the song itself, but today I was about to tell you about Dominicana. So Dominicana, that gained the independence from Haiti in 1844, and therefore we have Haiti and the Dominican Republic, and the Dominican Republic speaks Spanish, and Haiti has, French and Haitian Creole. And this is very interesting because I believe, my friends from primary school maybe have also mentioned this word, like Creole, what's that? What is it, So back then I had no idea what was Creole. So, Trisha had friends, and one of her friends was Dominika. So I would link Dominika with the Republic of Dominicana. Dominika was academically very good. And that's pretty much, yeah. She could have been also a little bit, she could appear to be shy or calm. And Trisha also had a friend called Isabella. So I would link Isabella, the name Isabella, with Bella and the Beast. And the topic of beauty, looking at the mirror and keeping those flowers on the windowsills, or getting a lot of roses. And, in the previous videos, I have explained to you that there is a very possible and plausible connection between the physical practice that all of us do unawareingly of, matching the flowers with glass, and possible, sex trafficking in the Netherlands, where you see basically women standing in the windowsill. So there's this connection of, visual, strong connection of a woman in the glass. And in Bella and the Beast, you have the rose and the glass. And sure thing, in writing, I explore, further connections of the symbolism that would imply that the rose actually stands for a beautiful woman. So, because I'm looking at somebody whom I'm known, and, at her friends, and all those friends seem to have, those names which can be linked with historical events. That's one thing. And they all seem to, come back to the region of Moulin Rouge and, the tequila, the agave flower. So that's yet another name, Agnieszka. So that's another friend of Trisha. And, I told you already, I'm sure, that agave is the blue flower that you cut out its heart to make tequila. And I believe that in agave, in the name itself, you have included the word Agnieszka, or Agata, even better, right? So I believe those names are included in the very first three letters of the flower, of the blue flower. And I believe it can be possibly linked with, the story of Snow White too, where you have a jealous witch staring at the mirror and wanting to have possess some, Snow White's heart. Um, right. I also think that when we drink tequila, when we drink blue flower, we also mixed, we mix as if some layers of, you get drunk with the flower. So in Moulin Rouge, you can hear the lyrics going like "get drunk with magnolia wine," which can speaks literally for the unique rare wine that is not so easily accessible, or it can speak metaphorically as about getting drunk with beautiful women, right? um, So Agnieszka was actually peculiar because, in the past she used to go to a horse stud, if I remember it well. And after many, many years, I have learned she lived in Italy, and I have learned that she actually received a horse. So it's also, depicted in Madeleine, and Madeleine goes to London with 11 of her friends, and she takes a white horse on the plane and goes with that horse to Pepito to give it to Pepito, to a Spanish boy, with a very influential dad, because Pepito's dad was a Spanish ambassador. Um, so basically, the connection with the horses is a very, very long and complex story that is connected also with, yet another monastery. So making tequilas might have something to do with the Society of the Sacred Heart, whereas, horses might be connected with Saint Philip Neri, as the name Philip itself indicates, the lover of horses. And as far as I remember, we had a lot of that language in the house, and we had, at least two figures of horses, and we would keep a hairband, this hairband on the horse's neck and on the horse's tail. And there are a lot of expressions like, shagging. Walić konia in Polish, we would say shagging, using the word horse in it. And I even grasped that, in English, the word whore and the word horse are very close to each other, because one of them includes S and the other doesn't. That's a very, very close, connection, isn't it? Between those two words. Which, is similar to the word bitch and beach, because when you see, ladies wearing two-part swimsuits, you see them in the beach most often, right? Yeah, so sure thing, there are many, many more expressions with horses, and there was a linkage to horseshoes as a meal. In Poland, we have kopytka, so that's the part of the horse that we refer to, horseshoes, and we say, when we eat it, we say we eat horseshoes. So there is a linkage, there's the physical representation in the figure, in the, a little bit of a sculpture, so to say, of the horse. And, there are ponytails to play with, and there is the language that is used that refers to horses. And there is the linkage with the food too, like eating the horse shoes too, right? So yeah, the story of the horse is a longer story, because it's a story of Saint Philip Neri too. In there you have the development of, African gospel, and this happens also for now, those churches, Saint Philip Neri, which I have in my hometown, one of these, they practice, singing gospel songs, which is an African style connected with the moment when they experienced slavery, and they started to invent the songs that would bring them hope. And this is how, gospel was originated, according to Gigi. Okay. So I would say that, that there is, from yet another perspective, yet another link, and another connection of the African men, and the story of flowers, the story of brothels, and the trial to link them and present them as the customers of brothels, customers of strip clubs, and places like that. So we had Dominika, Agnieszka, and there was, Isabella, and there was also Gabriela. But just forgive me that, there's one more link I'm looking for. But for now, I can tell you that Xena is a warrior princess, and that warrior princess is actually the woman who, is a fighter. She is in the forests, and she often is surrounded with Gabrielle, and she's surrounded with, the Amazon girls, and those girls look like, they don't necessarily look like Native American girls, but the way they're dressed, looking just basically at Gabrielle, could be a little bit close to Native Americans if we, sit to wonder, like, which nation are they reflecting? Where does this idea for the film come from? So I would say the name itself suggests strongly that this is the region of Amazon. And Amazon is the region where, from Amazon Harbor in 2023, there were about 800 children and women taken to either sex trafficking, either to organ harvesting. And there's, of course, more to that topic than that. So we have Dominika, Agnieszka, Isabella, Gabriela, right? And then it looks like, for a woman who's learning the story of the Snow White, Bella and the Beast, and probably Cinderella too, there are just people who have very symbolic names, who become her friends, who become her environment, to either, be there for her to exchange information, to learn from each other, and, and together, as if maybe they are supposed to give yet another story. I don't know. But it looks for me that these women are learning from each other when they are young women, and these women also prepare to abuse their own children in the future. And I think I have already told you about it, but let me just see. Yeah, I might have told you already about my experience with flatmates when I lived with Kasia, Magda, and Magda. So Magda and Magda studied French philology. I studied French philology, and I got back to studying French not once in my life. And Magda's favorite word was mignon. And, cute is somehow the recurring word when it comes to ponytails. So unicorns, because they come across as cute. So it's not really about within the branding, but, Gigi says, and I actually agree that unicorns come across as cute. And I think this is how girls who are supposed to work in a strip club are, created into. They're shaped into being cute. Among other things, they are crazy into being cute. So I had two Magdas who studied French philology, and I had Kasia who, looked like a Russian girl, and she looked identically like a Russian girl from the movie about sex trafficking. Excuse me. And I remember staring at her, thinking about it, and I remember that probably after that memory, we started to drink together Russian champagne for water. So something that was, cheap and something that was Russian. So, yeah. Therefore, when I read the text of Moulin Rouge and I see "Get drunk with Magnolia wine," or when I think about the production of tequila that comes from the blue heart of the flower, I don't think that these are random things, and I don't think that my memory and the choice of girls around me to drink this Russian champagne was a random choice. Because for me personally, as I strongly looked at Kasia, and I always saw this, not always, not obsessively, but I had this strong connection that this is the woman, as if, very similar woman who was in that movie, and I believe they created that link with the Russian champagne on purpose. Because from other perspective and other stories, we have also this linking, of, creating Nicholas Mikołajek and, making him stuffed with pancakes and Kinder eggs, most probably, or, creating a pedophile and making him stuffed with jelly bears, and making him stuffed with fried bread, like toast, right? And more, because there's more linkage to the food, like, having this association of horse, unicorn, something uniquely beautiful in a woman, and eating horseshoes, right? The meal that's called horseshoes. So, and sure thing, there is more. So, for me, yeah, these were my flatmates. And then when I got back from Holland, then I lived with Isa and Magda, and Isabella was really a beautiful girl. And Magda, Magda was sitting in front of the mirror in the kitchen, and so did Isa. And I just, happened to see them often in front of the mirror. And, I guess the mirror was there in the kitchen. I sometimes looked at the mirror too, but it looks like, these girls are, it's nothing unusual for the woman to sit in front of the mirror, but it was, this round mirror, and, I could remember this oval or round mirror from the past. And just the fact that we had a conflict over the washing machine and not something else but the washing machine. Just like in the, when I lived with Carmelite nuns, we also had, the conversation about the washing machine, like why isn't there any washing machine? Magdalena stands for Madeleine, translates into French as Madeleine, and Madeleine is, this TV series that presents you with Can-Can dance, and that's a strong connection to Moulin Rouge. And Moulin Rouge was set up by Joseph Euler in 1889. So Joseph Euler wasn't himself an African man, he was a Spanish man, but still, you have this name Joseph, like hello, hey Joe, in Moulin Rouge, and many, many other connections to Joe. So, yeah, today I wanted to present you with, these symbolic names that together, just looking at the names, can give us a story. When it comes to Dominicana itself and Haitian, that's probably requires a little bit more studying on my part. But Yeah, so if you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe. And please join my group, Nostrils to Nostrils, because, Nostrils to Nostrils, because this is actually the video for my group. And as I'm just forming the group, then I'm coming with the video to everyone else, but it would be cool to have you in the group. So, yeah, thanks for watching and talk to you soon. Bye bye.